Hottest bride and groom to be. You want them, we got them. It's Preston and Chantelle, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, Preston, how are you? Looking cool?
Thank you very much.
Chantelle, glamorous as always. Theirs is one of the great love stories. Think Romeo and Juliet, think Bogey and Bacall, think Simon Cowell and Simon Cowell. Our next guest is the biggest love story ever told. Let's remind ourselves how this beautiful story came to be.
If you made a little montage of clips, you could make us look like young lovers.
You touched my heart, you touched my soul, changed my life and all my goals.
I think she's some sort of soulmate or something.
My heart was blinded by you.
We get on really well and we both like each other.
Preston's always happy when Chantelle's around.
Aww.
I've been addicted to you.
If anything gets a bit too heavy, I can just go and do something silly with Chantelle.
You have been the one. You have been the one for me.
Oh, I think you're wicked.
Oh, I think you're wicked too.
Goodbye, my friend.
I feel like I've known her forever.
You have been the one for me.
That's very sweet, isn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, Chantelle and Preston.
Need some love like I never needed love before. Had a little love, now I'm back for more. When two become one.
Sir, come on in. Sit down. How nice to have you on the show. Preston, you look great. You've got such great style. I congratulate you.
Thank you very much.
I wish I could get away with it. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit fuller figure than you are. And Chantelle, how beautiful you look this evening.
Thank you.
Nice to have you in the show. You know, I'm a big Big Brother fan. I watch it even when I'm kind of tutting with disapproval at home. I always enjoy it. And the celebrity one last time, the one that you guys were in and you made stuff, was one of the best ever. I think I can only imagine what it's like inside the house.
Well, we've watched very little of it back, and then just seeing that clip is like, I think you're wicked.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's hardly poetry.
Yeah, exactly.
But is it difficult watching it back? Did you not watch it deliberately because you didn't want to see what we'd all seen, or was it just something you thought, let's happen, let's move on?
Yeah, I just think we know the outcome, and
that's all we need to know.
You know, it's pointless us kind of. It's time to sort of use what we've got now and sort of enjoy that, I think.
Is it strange when people talk to you about what happened in there? Because I know, I mean, obviously, you're living it 24/7 in there. We only see edited highlights, so there must be things that you forget happened that people saw.
Oh, absolutely. And you do. You are so unaware of being filmed, I think, when you're in there, which is something that you don't imagine that you would be. You kind of... I mean, I've seen me walking in there, and I thought, yeah, I'm going to go in there, be totally rock and roll. And then, you know, within sort of an hour and a half, I was sort of...
Yeah, you
were
a
sweet little boy,
yeah.
which is kind of irrepressible, unfortunately.
But it must have been even weirder for you in a way, because obviously, Preston, you know, you're in a band, you're used to being in front of an audience, you're used to performing. For you to come from not from that background, I know you've done a little bit of work, but really, I mean, what a weird ride that must have been.
Yeah, it was. You know, especially when I got out of the car and there was like loads of press and, you know, there and everything, and they're like all taking pictures and shouting my name. And it's like, oh, this is all right, isn't it? They were like, Chantelle, Chantelle. No, I loved it.
Get used to this, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll get used to this.
But when you went in the house there, was it what you expected? Because I don't know how many people you'd heard of. You obviously hadn't heard of Preston, because let's face it, none of us had heard of him before we went in there, but... I had actually, because I saw you at Meltdown. Morrissey put you on, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But you weren't that well known, really.
No, not
But
at all.
I guess Michael Barrymore, you would have known her. Like...
Yeah, it was really weird. I only recognised like Michael, Jodie, and Faria actually, but it was weird.
Holly, that's a weird cross-section to recognise. So you didn't recognise Dennis Rodman?
No, not at all. No one else.
Although once you've met him, it's hard to forget him, of course.
No, it's very hard to forget that man.
He's a unique-looking human being. And were you kind of like intimidated by the fact that there were famous people in there, or...?
Not at all. No, not at all. It's just the only difference is, you know, is that they've been, you know, they're on the telly and they've been in the papers. It's just a familiar face. Yeah. They're just normal. It's just like meeting like yourself down the street or something.
Yeah, no, I like to think that I'm a bit more impressive than any of them. Now, when there was an obvious chemistry between the two of you when you got in there, and I think people watching outside, we were hoping that it would develop in the way it did. Okay, but you must have been conscious of the fact that something was going on, and you, at the time, you were in a relationship with someone else, so it must have been kind of pretty difficult, and presumably something you...
I just convinced myself there was nothing going on, kind of really strictly convinced myself there was no chance, and so I hadn't really... I just think I didn't really accept it.
Yeah, and I just really liked Preston, but, you know, he had a girlfriend, and that was it, really. We were just friends.
Is he the sort you would normally have gone for?
I don't believe anyone. You know, some people will say that they've got a type, you know, but what is anyone's type? You know, you could be thinking, oh, I like, you know, people, there's like a bloke, you know, tall, dark and handsome, and then you meet him and he's just completely the wrong person that you like.
Yeah. So you mean your normal high standards went out the window?
No,
and you
no,
were...
but that's not. No, they're not my standards. I haven't got a type.
OK. It must have been tricky when you came out, though, because there was a feeling, I mean, once again, you're coming out in this situation where you don't quite know how you've been perceived, I guess.
Not at all.
You came out first, of course, so you knew that people had been speculating about the possibility of some kind of relationship, and you had to deal with the consequences in your existing relationship. But when you came out, we were kind of all willing it to happen, which must have been really strange.
Well, I think that's when I first sort of realised, I think, you know, for instance, proposing, that how can you ignore the fact that, you know, how can you ignore that possibility when you've already read in a paper that you've done it already?
Can I ask you, how did you propose? Did you have a specific thing you wanted to say, or did
well, my mum had the ring that she had when she was married to my dad. And so I got my mum to send it over, and I was kind of thinking, well, at least I'll have it to kind of, at one point, to propose in the future. And then the mood kind of became very romantic one evening, and I was just like...
So what was happening? You were having sex somewhere?
Chantelle's mother's in the audience.
Is she?
Yeah.
The three of you? Jesus, that's sick! I apologise, Mum. Now, you're engaged to be married, this is correct. Do you have a date in mind, or is it not something
we're trying to get a venue we want and stuff, so it's kind of like... We've got venues in mind, but they sort of don't necessarily do weddings, but we're just going to say, well, we're off telly and see if they...
We're off telly, OK. Are you going to go for something like Peter and Jordan's wedding, or are you going to have something a bit more subtle like Liza Minnelli had?
I think we want something quite sort of... a bit sort of 1930s and like quite stylish, like almost overstyled, kind of classy.
Great Gatsby.
Yeah, exactly. And like, well, I don't know. I feel like I'm bullying her into having the wedding that she doesn't want, so I'm trying to step back a little bit.
Yeah. Well, OK, Chantelle, what wedding would you like? If Preston had nothing to do with it, which really, if he was a real man, he wouldn't.
This is true.
Well, we've looked at Arundel Castle, and I'd love to get married in a castle.
Now, that's in Scotland, isn't it? Is that where Madonna got married?
Arundel, in just outside Brighton.
Yeah, which is near Scotland. That's what I meant. Sorry.
I'd love it. You know, like horse and cart with...
We're not having a horse and cart.
No, I'd love that.
Horse and carriage, maybe. Horse and cart would be like Steptoe and Son. Preston! Oh, I love you, Preston.
Horse and carriage.
Horse and carriage.
Yeah,
Horse
I'd
and
love
cart would be
that.
quite sweet in a way, though.
I said the animals we can have, I said we're allowed peacocks. We can have some peacocks sort of randomly roaming around.
Now listen, peacocks are really noisy.
Are they?
They're really horrible, noisy.
We'll pay to have them muted somehow, some sort of vocal cords ripped out.
What about the antlers?
Yeah, what's this about antlers?
Well, he reckons he's going to wear antlers, right? But any interview, no one's allowed to ask him about them. Like, don't talk about the antlers.
What's wrong? What do you want to wear antlers for?
I don't talk about the antlers.
What do you... I'm afraid that's not good enough, young man.
Allow me my decadences. It's...
Antlers, what? You mean during the ceremony itself?
For the whole ceremony, possibly the honeymoon as well. On the beach, little swimming costume, some antlers.
You look like Peter Stringfellow or someone. It's like some proper big ones.
Oh, yeah?
So you want a sort of staggish effect? You want to look like a rampant young male?
Well, I hadn't really thought much... There wasn't much kind of deep meaning in the whole thing. I just
But
kind
it's
of...
not happening now anyway, is it?
I don't know. I quite like the idea of paying Will Young to walk around Hoxton in antlers the week later, and kind of, you know, Katie Mellower and, you know, just some celebrities to walk around Hoxton in antlers and see
I
if
think
I
you've
can
got
let
too
it
much
catch
spare
on.
time on your hand right
Yeah,
now. You're sitting around speculating. You just want, get a nice dress, get a horse and cart, boom, you'll do it. That's all you need. You're